You are welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm sewing another skirt. It's going to be a 6-piece skirt that I'm cutting, and then we'll also sew it. It's a bandless skirt, so I'm going to use a lining to turn it. Remember that I've already done a pencil skirt that we sew, cut and sew and line. I've also done a flare skirt, a full flare skirt with band. If you want videos on all those skirts, you will have to drop a comment for me, then I'll hook you up with a copy. So today I'm going to cut this 6-piece skirt. I have it here on the table. Okay, so the measurement that I'm going to use, I'll need my waist, I'll need the length of the skirt. Is a long 6-piece skirt, and I'll also need the waist to knee of the skirt. I'll need the waist to knee of the skirt. All right, so let's start cutting. Also, you will also need the hip. Yes, the hip of the skirt. For this pattern skirt that I'm making, the waist is 30, the hip is 39, the length is 40, and the waist to knee is on 20 inches. So what I'm going to do first is that I will divide my measurement. The biggest measurement is the hip measurement, and I'm going to divide it into 6. So 39 divided by 6 will give me 6.5. 6.5. So you divide your own hip measurement, which is mostly like to be the biggest measurement, divide it into 6. So I'm going to start my measurement from here. You can see that this cloth has a border, so I will remove the border away from it. I don't want to add the border to my measurement. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to measure 1/2 inch. That 1/2 inch is what I will use to join it to with the lining that I'm going to use to fasten it. So that is what 1/2 inch that is there. Then the next thing is to measure the length of the skirt. Remember I said the length is 40. So I'm going to measure 40 inches down. Then I'll add 1 inch to it for the hem allowance. 1 inch to it for the hem allowance. So I'm done with that. So I'm coming back up. Don't forget, I'll also mark where the knee measurement is. My knee measurement, I said, is going to be on 19.5. For this skirt is 19.5. I'm going to mark it. When I want to do something on it, I'll let you know. So I'm coming back to the upper part now. Remember I divided my waist, my hip into 6, so it gave me 6.5. So I'm going to measure the 6.5. I'm going to divide it into 2 again, which is going to give me 3.25. 3.25. You know it is folded, the fabric is folded, so it's going to give me 3.25. So this is my 3.25. So that's what I'm going to measure down. 3.25. 3.25. I'm going to measure it 3.25 like that to the hip, to the half length. Now I have my 3.25. Now I'm going to add 1/2 inch to that 3.25. What is the 1/2 inch for? Is my sewing allowance. So you can as well add it to your 3.25 and measure 3.75 down. So whichever way you want to do it. So I have my 3.75 now, so to the knee. Now because the knee side is going to be curved, I'm going to measure 1 inch upward. This is where I'm going to do my cuff from. Now how do I know what I'm going to use for the base? You know the lower part is going to be wider than the upper part, you understand? So what I do is that, you know, when I divided my hip by 6, which gives me 6.5. Do you understand? 6.5, and the fabric is folded. So I'm using that 6.5 fully at the base. So if your own hip is like 48 and you divide it by 6, it will give you 8. So you can measure 8 here. Do you understand? So that's what I'm going to use. Then I'm going to connect that to my knee line. I'm connecting that to my knee line. You can use a ruler. I'm connecting it to my knee line. You can see that. Now, because I want my knee area, I want it to be shaped. You can see that I shape it in with 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch is okay, so it won't be too deep. We are still learners, so it won't be. So I shape things in with 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to bring it back out. You can use your ruler here. So all I just did is that I shaped out the knee side with 1/2 inch. I shaped it in with 1/2 inch so it can look out very well by the time I sew my skirt. So that is all about this, and all I need to do now is just to cut. I'm going to start cutting from here. You see how I'll cut it, shape this place, then I'll cut it to the hem. Okay, I'm about to cut it now, so watch the way I'm going to cut it, especially the knee side. Remember that it is the 1/2 inch that I added that I'm cutting it from. Look at the knee side. Remember, I've already shaped it in with 1/2 inch, and I also measured 1 inch upward from the knee. So that is where I'm doing the shaping, starting the shaping from. Can you see it? See, this is the 1 inch upward. This is where I started the shaping from. Then I've already brought it out at the knee measurement exactly. Then I'm slanting it out. Remember, I use 6.5 because I divided by 6, my hip by 6. 39 divided by 6, which gives me 6.5. And I said, if your own hip is 48, you divide it by 6. This place should be 8 inches. So you can see the shape now. Can you see the shape? You can see this place came out. Can you see the shape? So I'm coming here. This place should not be curved, it should be sharp. You can see this is where I shape it in. Can you see that? It's just with 1/2 inch. It's just with 1/2 inch. So you can shape your own into 1/2 inch and then use ruler to connect it. Then can you see here? So what I'll do is that I'll notch this edge. I'll notch this edge. So if I open it, you can see this is what I have. Look at the shape again. You see, this place is wider and this place is narrow. So okay, so I'm about to cut the 2 center fronts. You understand? And I'm using the center front to cut it. So the first thing I'm going to do is to shape the edge. Just watch the positioning. Please make sure you are paying a very close attention to everything that I'm doing. I want to trace this shape on it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to position the fabric like this. This is more about positioning. Please make sure you get the positioning well. Look at this. Then look at it down. Because I want to get this shape. You understand? I want to get it. So this is the open part. That's where I'm going to cut it. I'll first of all cut the edge a bit. You can cut it inward a bit. Let me leave it like that. Then this side, this is the open side of our head. So remember, I notched. So this notching, edge notching must always be there. Any edge. Note that this is the open edge of the pieces. This is the closed edge of the pieces. All right. So Just pay a very close attention. So I got to the edge, then I'll also use it to cut straight. You can cut it, make sure your hand is straight. So you can see it now. I've cut both edges now are the same. So I'm going to turn it to its front now. Look at the way I turn it to its front. Yes, this place will not be straight again, but leave it. I don't really need this place now. I'm concentrating on this upper side. Can you see it? This is where I want you to concentrate on now. So once you have it like this, then the next thing I'm going to do, I'll go back to my measurement. The waist is 30 inches. Make sure you use your own measurement. So I'm now dividing by 4. The reason why I'm dividing by 4 is because this is like halfway to the front side. So that means halfway. So I've like divided the cloth into 4 again. So I'm dividing by 4 at this stage. So waist is 30 divided by 4, it gives me 7.5. See where I'm starting the measurement from this edge. Make sure when you position, the two are close, there is no space in between. So 7.5, see, this is my own 7.5. Then I'll add 2 inches to it. 2 inches. 2 inches include that and then the sewing allowance. Then remember, look at very well that this is the front part of the clothes. This is the front, because somebody is wondering, why am I not doing on the back part? I'm doing this particular part of the pattern on the front part of the cloth. This one remains like this, it's halfway. Then this is the front pattern. So 7.5, 30 divided by 4 for my waist. You divide your own waist by 4, then add 2 inches to it. The 2 inches is for sewing allowance and for that. Then I'm going to measure. Remember, we have ½ inch up here that we will use sewing allowance. So I'm going to measure waist to hip for an average body side. Average body size is 8 inches. If you are taller, you can use 9 inches. If you are shorter, you can use 7.5 inch. But this one is an average body size skirt, so I'm using 8 inches because the length is 40. So this is where my hip will be. So I'm going to measure my hip measurement here. Hip is 39 divided by 4. That will give me 9 3/4. So I'm measuring 9 3/4. Remember that this place is close. 9 3/4 here, and then I'll add 1.5 to the hip. 1.5 to the hip, and then I'll connect it with my ruler, the end point. I'm connecting the end point. Okay, so I've already connected the end point of my hip and my waist together. So how do I do the remaining part? Just bring this particular center pattern again, put it at the hip. Watch this place. You can see that it is the edge aligned. Then look at the hip, where the hip is. I position it there, and this is where the point that I need. Yes, it won't be straight here because the waist is curved in. Don't bother, just position it at the hip, then you straighten it down. Look at what I did. I just used my hip point to position the center pattern. Now you see, this is my center pattern. Look at the hip point. You know we have a hip point there. Maybe I should just rule it so you can see it well. So I positioned the center pattern on the hip point. Make sure that it aligns at the edge. Look at this edge. Can you see that it aligns here? Then I position it on the hip. The hip is going to be my guide. You understand? Then look at the way I straighten it down. You can see the lower edge too is straight. Can you see it? So The next thing I'm going to do is just to cut. So I'm following the pattern. So I'm going to follow the shape. The reason why we are following the shape is because we want this 6 pieces skirt to be shapy. We don't just want it to be straight and then you now start using machine to shape it. We want to shape it from the beginning while cutting. You can see I have a little excess here. It's okay. Excess, if there is an excess, you can always trim it. It's better than having a shortage. Can you see it now? My 2 edges are straight. Now look at it. Can you see? Look at it. So this is one part. Now come back to the upper side again. You know, when I position my hip, I didn't consider the waist at all. There is a shape on my waist. So now I can come back to shape the waist to the hip. Very good. You can see how shapy this is. Just follow everything to details. You can see. So I have one part of the front ready now. I also have the center of the front too. You can see the 6 pieces is forming. This is one part of the front. This is the center of the front. So I will now use this one part. I will use it to cut the second part, and I'll also use it to cut the 2 parts that are on the back. Let me use it to cut the second part first, then we go ahead to cut the 2 pieces that are left at the back. Okay, I'm ready to cut the second front pattern now. Can you see? Please pay attention to every detail that I do. So this is one part of the front. We have done the cut the center pattern too. We don't need the center pattern again. So this is the one we just cut, one part of the front. So we want to cut the second part of the front. And look at the fabric. This side is wider now. So I'm going to position it. I'm still cutting with the front of the fabric. So I'm going to position front on front. See it? Can you see that? Look at it from here to here. You can see. Then I'll just cut it. That's all I need to do. So I'm starting my cutting from here. So I'll cut the 2 edges, then I'll also go and cut the upper part. Make sure you follow the shape so it won't be different from each other. One side of the pattern has a notch. That is the side you will join. The second part does not have a notch. The edge does not have a notch. So the part that has a notch, I've notched it. It's very important that you do this notching. So the other part, I'm going to cut. I will tell you the reason why you need to put the notching. If you don't put the notching, you might miss your positioning when you want to sew. So please, wherever you watch me put a notch, make sure you put a notch on your own too. So I've cut it. Can you see it? So these are the 2 side patterns for the front. These are the edges, the extreme edges. These are the center edges where, you know, the center pattern is going to be at the middle of it. That is why these are the places that I put the notching. I put the notching here because I'm still going to join the center pattern on each of them. Do you understand? So these are the extreme edges. These are the center edges. These are the center edges that you put a notch. So I want you to understand all those things. So now these 2 are ready for my front pattern. Each of this to go and cut the 2 back patterns that are also left. So let's go and do that.